Fraud affects businesses of all sizes. Did you know that most fraud is committed or enabled by your own employees, executives, and partners? Whether you are the CEO of a Fortune 50 company or the owner of a sandwich shop, this video and this YouTube channel will give you the information and tools you need to identify, combat, and mitigate fraud in your business. I will take complex financial information and simplify it. In this video, I'm going to review the top 5 trends in fraud for 2020. I'm going to discuss what you can do, prepare yourself and your organization to help prevent fraud. And I'm going to give you a 5-step plan to get you started. What you learn here, you'll be able to use right away in your business. So let's go. The top 5 trends in fraud for 2020 are online fraud growth, increased fraudster sophistication, emergence of new data and data channels, such as the Internet of Things, like autonomous cars, increase in internal business fraud committed and enabled by your employees and leadership, and an increase in business and personal identity theft fraud. The first 3 trends all have to do with electronic fraud enabled by technology. Every day, as you connect more devices in your house, your car, and your business, new attack vectors emerge. The last 2 trends are just the continued increase in business fraud. Most companies are yet to deploy systems, processes, and tools to fight fraud, and the result of this is your staff feels that they are more likely to get away with it. So, what can you do as a business owner or a business executive to prepare? Number 1, implement an enterprise-wide fraud management strategy. Consolidation of fraud detection, alerts, and case management is a must. It costs less to prevent fraud than it does to be a victim of it. Number 2, centralize your fraud management functions and ensure all stakeholders participate, communicate, and collaborate. Number 3, have your IT and security department invest in the latest fraud technology and services. We maintain a list of these technologies on our site, uncoverfraud.com. I'll put a link to the list below in the description. Number 4, limit access, use, and storage of sensitive data within your system. Regularly assess by department, level, and even individual what information they truly need to perform their duties and what could be removed from their access. Number 5, employ data analytics for fraud detection. I'll have lots to say about this in my upcoming video. Number 6, think of your employees and leadership as your front line. Regularly train and educate your team on emerging fraud threats. Educate them on current fraud prevention strategies. Teach employees how to spot fraudulent activity and recognize red flags like financial need that indicate or may indicate an employee might commit fraud. If you're not sure where to start, take my introductory course online. I'll put a link to it in the description below. Next, set up a whistleblower hotline as an anonymous reporting system that allows employees to give tips without the fear of repercussions. This is not to remove anything that you have in place already, but this is a catch-all basin. Before it leaves your organization, this is the last stop. You want to ensure regularly, so yearly at a minimum, that your company is made aware of the program and know how to access it. Over 50% of employees with companies who have a whistleblower program don't actually know how to access it. If you don't have a whistleblower program, take a look at ours at uncoverfraud.com. I'll put a link in the description below. The percentage of insider fraud from individuals working in accounting, operations, sales, upper management, customer service, purchasing, and finance account for 75% of internal frauds. These roles should be your priority in terms of education. You need to encourage your team to take responsibility by promoting preventative procedures that can help stop fraud from occurring. You want to ensure that your team has multiple channels to communicate suspicious behavior quickly and easily. Is your team aware of the types of frauds that may occur and what to do if they suspect it occurring? I regularly train and educate businesses on fraud types, preventions, and what to do in the event of a suspected fraud. I ensure that you have minimized exposure through having the right insurance. I can consult based on experience, methods to mitigate and minimize loss to fraud. I investigate allegations of fraud with my team. In the event of allegations, you must assess if the investigation should be completed internally or externally. The things to consider: do you have the right experience and capacity to complete a fulsome investigation? Will your key stakeholders accept an internal report? Who will have access to the report? Contact me at uncoverfraud.com to schedule a free consultation. So who is accountable to make sure controls are up to date, in place, and effective? Well, it's quite simple. It's leadership and management's responsibilities. These responsibilities include creating an environment where fraud is not tolerated, identifying risks of fraud, and taking appropriate action to ensure that controls are in place to prevent and detect fraud, and knowing in the event of a fraud allegation what to do. How do we do that? That is why you are here. That is why I am here. This battle can be won, and I'm here to help you win it. So here is my 5-step plan for you. Number 1, implement fraud and ethics training at least once a year. It sends a strong message to your employees about your business commitment to reducing fraud. It also helps you ensure employees are up to date on the latest trends in fraud so that they are better able to identify potential risks. I regularly lecture and teach businesses what they need to know. Number 2, ensure your IT department, invests in the latest fraud technology and services. If they are not familiar, I can help bridge that gap and get your organization on the path to prevention. At a minimum, send them the link to uncoverfraud.com, where I list top tools that they should be looking at. Number 3, revisit your fraud policy on a regular basis. So I'm talking yearly at a minimum. We already discussed how trends and techniques change. I've included a link to a template in the description below to a fraud policy. Number 4, perform a fraud risk assessment. A fraud risk assessment is the evaluation at all levels of the operation of potential instances of fraud that could impact the organization's ethics and compliance standards, business practice requirements, financial reporting integrity, and other objectives. Number 5, communicate. Make it known throughout the organization that the company is being proactive to ensure fraud doesn't exist. Make it part of new employee onboarding. The chances of being a victim of fraud when you have communicated your strategy will decrease significantly. Being proactive about fraud and having the right controls in place reduces exposure by 50%. The majority of frauds identified come through tips, and your employees are your best eyes and ears. Implement a process for enabling employees to provide feedback. I'll have another video talking about this, so watch out for that. Invest in your company through training, and it will be part of your insurance against fraud. It is one thing to have a fraud policy in place, but it is another to have your company acknowledge that they are aware of the policy and their responsibilities. The message comes from the tone at the top. Remember, for every $1 spent on fraud prevention, you're saving about 20 times, so $20 on an investigation. At uncoverfraud.com, we can help assess and test your current risks, anti-fraud controls, and possible exposure. Further, I regularly train teams on what fraud looks like and what should be done if it is expected. Remember, the numbers tell the story. It's not a question of will fraud happen to our company. It's a question of, is our team properly trained and prepared when it occurs to handle it? My name is David Malamed. To find out more about me and the services we offer, please visit uncoverfraud.com. Thank you.